stuck here. The cops won't bother me. First crash.
Today I was listening to Joe Rogan, and if you don't know anything about me, I really love his podcast. His podcast is probably one of the most fantastic podcasts around because he talks to people for hours, and they're always very interesting people. Like, he just doesn't get people from like UFC to talk to him. He gets like scientists. And today on the podcast was a guy that I've never heard of. His name is Bob Lazar. And Bob Lazar is a guy that used to work in, I guess, Area 51. And I haven't finished the podcast, but freaking amazing podcast. I never knew. The way he explains it is amazing, and it doesn't seem like he's a quack or a crazy guy. He's a scientist that worked there when he was in his 20s. Like, I guess he found out, or some guy hooked him up, and then he started working Area 51. And I don't know how you guys feel about aliens, but I never signed off on the aliens thing. I thought everything was fake. And listening to this podcast makes me doubt that. It really does. Like, he comes across as very honest and smart and extremely, like, learned. Like, he seems like a guy that really knows his stuff. And I don't understand why anybody would make this thing up. Like, why would he make it up? To like sell books? To be famous? He's not famous, he's infamous. I think a lot of people saw him as a joke, but a lot of the things that he said in the past have come true. He's only worked in Area 51 for like 6 months too. That's something that I found fascinating. So he was in charge, not in charge, he worked under this guy named Barry, who they worked to try to figure out what the hell was up with this propulsion motor or engine or whatever that these aliens had. So they had about 9 of these aliens. Look at that guy without a helmet going down the street. But it was just incredible. Like, he tells the story that Barry, the head scientist, and him were like looking at this small propulsion thing that was inside this UFO, and it had its own gravity. So imagine something the size of a basketball, and when it was turned on, you could not touch it. Like, he tried to like grab it, but there was a force field around it, as if it was making its own gravity. And apparently he replaced the scientist. Apparently they tried to cut this propulsion basketball that was the engine of the UFO using a plasma cutter, and that's how the guy died. But like, there's no info on that, so I'm kind of like torn. Like, all of this was at the highest secret clearances, you know. Like, I'm amazed because they even have video during one of the tests of this UFO kind of like moving around, but of course it was in the dark, so it just seems like a bunch of lights. I mean, could the government be not telling us the truth about this? Like, could there be alien spacecraft on Earth? Before watching this or listening to this episode, I thought, yeah, all of these UFO people are just quacks, crazy people that want desperately to believe in UFOs. Because when you meet one of these UFO people that are really into it, they're all crazy. But this guy, Bob Lazar, does not come across as crazy. He comes across as a very smart guy that couldn't keep his mouth shut about this top secret stuff. Of course, he was like 20 something, and it seems like when you're 20 something, you're very smart. You know, it could be that you're just not that type of guy. But I'm amazed, man. Like, he just came across as a very smart guy, and I really wonder what the hell is going on. You know, at a certain point in the interview, you know, since he was in like very high secret clearance, they bugged his house, and he knew that because that's what they had to do. That was part of the assignment. And apparently his wife was having an affair with like a flight instructor, and at a certain point Bob Lazar and his friends, Bob took him out to the desert to look at alien spacecrafts, and they were recording and having a good time and all of that. Then he got caught, so he got taken in, and that's when they finally told him about his wife having an affair. And I guess they had transcripts. They must be very explicit, because in the Joe Rogan podcast, he seems to be very stressed about that. I bet like they were really, and I wonder if he's still with the same wife. Because I mean, if I had the wife that cheated on me, I would not stay with her. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. Like it's crazy. Like I love the idea that aliens might be around us, but I just don't believe it, because of course there's no proof. But what does the government have to like gain from keeping this a secret? And the reason is, okay, the US has got this in a bunker in Nevada, so that means that they have this very futuristic technology in a bunker somewhere. So what if other governments know about this, and that's all they wanted was this technology? So I guess keeping this under wraps from other governments is probably a top priority. But the second thing that I see, that the reason that governments want to keep this secret, is that they don't want to tell their citizens that there are aliens out there, because citizens would just freak out. I mean, the idea that you would have aliens around, and they had like 9 spacecrafts according to Bob Lazar. So imagine if the United States has this, and then Russia has more of them. If it's true that Bob Lazar did work with, you know, UFOs and stuff, it's incredible to me that they were able to keep it under wraps for this long. Because think about it, it's not just the scientists that are doing this, right? It's like the soldiers. There's soldiers protecting this. There's the army or whatever, like trying to keep the scientists from not talking. There's like a lot of people that know about this. There has got to be so many people that know about this. So for me, it's like, why is Bob Lazar the only one that's talking? There's got to be like soldiers that have seen something. But I wonder if this is kind of like a test that the government did in order to kind of vet who can actually see stuff and who can't. Man, this bike handles pretty darn well. Yeah, I'm amazed with like this alien stuff, because I don't believe aliens. I mean, I think there's aliens out there, but I don't think they're coming here every day to basically like mess around with a bunch of cows, or to experiment on people, or just kind of like flying around checking out the Grand Canyon. I don't believe in that sort of stuff. But we all know that we live in a universe that might not even be just one universe. It could be multiple universes. No one really knows. But one thing is for sure, if aliens have gotten to the Earth, that's the beginning and the end. And in a way, it's kind of like what the Europeans did to the Native Americans, what the Europeans did to Africa. They colonized it. They basically made them their slaves. It actually could be something like how we humans treat cows, for example. It could potentially be that we could become food for aliens. it's very possible that these things could happen. You know, in a way, it's almost like karma. We humans are so violent and aggressive. Animals in general are violent and aggressive, that what if aliens came to this planet and basically started using us as food? Growing, I mean, we can grow like crazy, right? Look at all the obese people who around. Feed us McDonald's, and all of a sudden we become like big fat lard asses. And you know how we love to eat young cows or veal or whatever? What if they start eating babies? I mean, they're probably like tender and all of that. That could be one of our destinies. It's just incredible. The thing is, if aliens have managed to like get a craft onto the United States, and not just one craft, 9 craft, and just in the United States, and just in that base, like, we don't know what else is out there. If there is in fact true, then they have much better technology than we have. They're much further ahead in technology than we will ever be in thousands of years. So this is kind of a crazy thing that could, if Bob Lazar is correct, that and they have this technology, we are doomed. We're like food source for aliens. Batteries, kind of like what the Matrix is. Alright, squids, thanks for listening to me talk about aliens. I'll see you in the next video.